Um, I've been watching some interviews on Charlie Sheen because just from my personal experience, as soon as somebody crashes and burns, generally they're a friggin' genius, but society would never ever comprehend what the hell is going on. Society would judge them to be the one that's doing right, while the observed, diagnosed patient is the person that's wrong. And since I was the patient, I'm on a disability. Um, I think of myself as pretty intelligent. I would, challenge that debate with anybody to challenge my intelligent level. Nobody has said I was a stupid person. You will never ever get anybody to prove that I was a stupid person. Okay, so we're dealing with the fact that, okay, I'm a really, really smart person, yet um, when I crashed and burned, that's the diagnosis, is there was something wrong with me. I was stupid in some way. Um, then the diagnosis is I'm behaving wrong in some way, and it's like, no, you are behaving wrong in some way. It's almost like the criminals are calling the victims doing something wrong. Your behavior is wrong if you're a victim. And that part never made any sense. And so then they started throwing mental illness labels on me, and it's like, I'm not mentally ill. I am behaving perfectly normal and healthy, yet look at your behavior. You're a freaking criminal, and yet you're calling that perfect health? That part never made any sense to me. So then once I got on this welfare system, I started seeing a ton of people that are exactly like Martin Sheen. And it was like I could understand them. It's like I spoke their language. And they are labeled with all of these mental illnesses. And I can see, well, wait a minute, if I can relate to these people more than I can relate to the ones put in the labels, it's like this is something worth hanging with. So I'm really, really grateful for being on this welfare system, because it's really made me understand the mindset of what the global world thinks is mentally ill. And that's why I've been saying that, it's psychopaths. Doctors are psychopathic. They make a lot of money off killing you with pills, and yet they think that they are mentally healthy. But anyways, I'll try and focus on what I see with Charlie Sheen and the common behaviors that I see. And the worst thing that you can do is judge another person. Um, if you want somebody to be mentally ill, I mean really, really mentally ill, judge them to be something negative, and then they will turn out to be that something very, very negative. So I'm really trying to improve on that myself, because I do seem to like, I'm doing my own videos to see my own contradictions, and one thing that I do know is the judging negative is wrong. Haven't been able to kind of start that communication without making a judgment to make people think, although I know that it's a negative, wrong thing to do. I know that a lot of it stemmed from broken heart, knee-jerk reaction. I see the process of it going, and that's why it's like, okay, I need to heal this friggin' broken heart of mine, because that's generally where the problem is. So it's like these doctors that are psychopaths, these elites that are psychopaths, um, it's just a friggin' medical label that feels really, really insulting. And so I don't really want to do that, other than you got to kind of do that to make you kind of see, well, is this behavior right or wrong? And for the most part, every single person on this planet, including me, is doing something wrong. So it's not an insult, it's not a judgment. It's like, okay, I judge everybody to be extremely loving. Everybody wants to do the right thing. We just don't know how to do the right thing. We don't know the game yet. So I ain't judging either side of this fence to be wrong, but just sort of point out, let's sort of look and understand what the hell is going on there. And mostly with Charlie Sheen. Generally, these people that we're going to judge as mentally ill are friggin' geniuses. And the problem with a genius, the mistake geniuses make is they're wrong sometimes. And so if you've got a genius that can never say, oh, I could be wrong, then you will get behavior that won't sustain a desire of what it is they want. Now, Charlie Sheen is at war with something, and he'll never ever win that war because he's at war. And that's another little problem, is as long as you're negative, as long as you're angry, as long as your passion takes a negative slant, you'll always be wrong. So being a genius while in an extremely negative state of mind, you'll always lose, even if you can appear to be the winner. I mean, doctors have big houses, big bank accounts off killing people. Doesn't mean that they are right in what they're doing, but we can perceive them to be very, very successful business people. But it doesn't mean that they're right. So you can have a genius, really, really big fucking genius, but if they're angry, negative, doesn't mean that they're right. They just are still in process of learning something. He's a friggin' genius too, and a lot of courage to be able to say AA is really, really wrong. I mean, first of all, to be an alcoholic, a recovered alcoholic, means every single day you got to admit you're an alcoholic. That's making a suggestion that you continually always have this problem. That means you've never actually transformed a problem into a solution, which means you're going to suffer from something from the rest of your life. You've never overcome something. So I can perfectly well see why this guy would never want to go into there. Why would you? Why would you go into something that claims to be healing when all it does is perpetuate it over and over and over again? You will never overcome it. And typically what I've observed of any type of Alcoholics Anonymous or Drugs Anonymous or any of these rehab type places is it's a block and deal. It's focus on the positive, ignore the negative. Just know the negative is there all the time, but never ever look at it. Just, be happy while you get your, fucked up the ass. Like, be happy while somebody beats the crap out of you. Love the idea that nothing in life is fair. Suck it up. Everything that's wrong in the world, AA teaches you how to enjoy everything that's wrong. And that's what addictions usually are. And that's what I've looked at with this smoking addiction, is every time you have an addiction of some kind that it's doing harm to your body. It's a search for an answer to something, and you haven't found the friggin' answer. Getting really, really close with the smoking. Have not had a cigarette. Don't even have the urge to have a cigarette. It's when you overcome, when you end up finding that answer, you never have to deal with it anymore. There is no side effects. There is no withdrawals. Um, there's none of that. You don't have to fight it. It's a natural thing when you found your answers. And that's kind of like with the smoking addiction. It's like I ain't fighting that addiction anymore. I'm not going to try and stop and still recognize that there's a big problem going on, because then I'll always have to deal with that friggin' smoking addiction. And when I'm going to have that next cigarette, I'd rather get rid of the causes. What's the reason why I smoke? Well, and if I don't get rid of that reason why I smoke, then it will always creep up on me. So it's like I got to transform that reason why I smoke in the first place, or else it's something I'm going to suffer from for the rest of my life. So when Charlie Sheen is in this interview, I'll put a link below, it is saying that he closed his mind and healed his addiction instantly. That is perfectly possible. And he's relating that to, I got rid of the lie. And yeah, there's a lie you tell yourself that keeps you experiencing the problem. The problem is so painful that you always go and have that drug. Now, lots of times I've been fooled into believing that I've overcome something. I've quit smoking. It was well over a year ago that I had quit smoking, and I did not have any withdrawals whatsoever. It was just one day I just woke up and never ever had another cigarette, and it went for like 8 months until something really painful happened. And that seems to be my knee-jerk. That's what I haven't transformed, is as soon as something painful happens, it's like, oh, I just want to die. As soon as my heart gets broken, it's like, what's the point? As soon as things feel, well, I can never say too challenging, because I can overcome just about every challenge, but it's like, when people I care about break my heart, that is painful. And we're dealing with that on a global level. Each of us are doing really harm to each other. So you can feel that unconditional love, that pain, with people that you actually love in your family dynamic. But if we can expand that and see that we're all one big family, it is really heartbreaking to see what we do to each other, that we would profit off killing you. When you see that human connection to that, it's like, wow, that's painful. So that's something that I need to overcome. But getting back to Charlie Sheen, it is possible to overcome that addiction without any, I mean, he was on some pretty hard drugs. For him not to have any withdrawals is definitely possible. He's gotten rid of an awful lot of lies. Has he gotten rid of all of the lies? He's got way too much anger going on. As long as he's in battle with something, as long as he sees passion as a war, and look at his friends, as Alex Jones. But I mean, it is so freaking negative that you can trust without a doubt this guy's probably going to be doing drugs again, because drugs is a painkiller. He will be in constant pain because he's at war. War is pain. And it's like he's a freaking genius. If he can take this one step further, that he can win any war without a battle. He can win at everything. He can shut his mind and create everything being peaceful. He can create whatever it is he wants with the use of his mind, without any war, without anything. I mean, the power of his mind can create whatever result he wanted. The laws he's setting up for himself are true. The question is what's the end result he actually wants, and can't he just achieve it with his mind just as well as he can with the drugs? He's got the answers. He's just not connecting the dots too much, and it's his anger that's sort of getting in his way. But he's a freaking genius. Peace out.